We would be honored if you would join us.
Hello there, Jedi Knights and Sith Lords. Welcome to the first episode of The Force Joke. I'm here with
Luis Barrera,
Micah Kidd,
and I'm Tim Ortiz. We will be covering in today's episode a few topics here. First topic we'll be covering is current Star Wars happenings, focused on actors and directors and etc. Our second topic will be covering the movies, cartoons, books, and canon or legends. And our third topic will be Star Wars events around the world, on the net, Netflix, and TV. So, starting off with the first topic on current Star Wars happenings, let's talk about Carrie Fisher and her death and how it impacts Star Wars and you or so on. Louis, you want to start off with how you feel about?
Absolutely, Tim. You know, I fortunately am old enough to have watched every Star Wars film at the theater. So when I heard of the passing of Carrie Fisher, it really touched me. You know, I mean, it kind of affected me a little bit emotionally. But when it really kind of hit me was when her mother passed away. I really kind of, you know, I don't want to say I cried, but got really emotional about it, because then it really brought into focus how much Carrie Fisher not just meant to her family and her fans, but how much her mother really cared about her, and how we lost somebody special from our Star Wars family.
Absolutely, and we see some of say younger girls these days, they looked at her as one of their first icons to follow, as such an influential character and even a role model to follow. So we see her passing is very unfortunate and untimely for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's not only when you say for everyone, it's also including like the Hollywood movie business. Now they got to deal with this. What's going to happen with her? What's going to happen with her character in these movies? I mean, I don't know what the script looks like because they've already finished recording the episode 8. So maybe she's already died in that movie. I don't know. I think Kylo Ren possibly be the one to end her life in this next episode.
Yeah,
and that could be a catalyst to Rey turning to the dark side. Maybe this is something that Snoke wants, that Snoke looks for.
So what you're saying is Rey is going to go to the dark side with her brother. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Assuming that Rey is her brother?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
It might even switch. You might see. It might be the other way around. Rey turns dark, and you get Kylo going to the light side.
We definitely do have a big question that Lucasfilm is going to have to figure out. I don't think they're going to change anything because they've already announced that she has shot all of her scenes for Episode 8. So they do have some leeway. They have some time to figure out what they want to do. Of course, the questioning if they're going to introduce the CGI, such as they did for Rogue One. I don't know if they're going to go that route. I don't know if they're going to pull a Paul Walker for the last Fast and Furious movie with their case, but they definitely do have a big question to answer as far as moving forward.
Okay, well, going into Episode 8, let's talk about the title of the next movie. Do y'all have any clue on what the title might be? Are there any?
That's a good question.
You can start off with how we look at how Episode 7 ended, and you have what is it? Snoke leaves with Kylo and.
Yes, he says, "Bring Kylo to me."
Yeah.
I need to finish his training. Pretty much is what he's saying.
We know that that's going to happen.
And we know that Rey's going to be trained by Luke. So
Rey's going to possibly be trained by Luke.
I'm gonna go with
most likely it's going to happen.
You're thinking the clone Luke, right? Okay, that's a story for another time.
It's going to be the clone Luke. You can tell if they're clones because one's going to have a hand. One's not.
So absolutely, we're going to see in this movie, we're going to see the training, however, whomever it's by, refining Kylo Ren's skills, making him more powerful, obviously, and also seeing the same case for Rey, touching on her innate ability to use the Force with little to no training from our knowledge.
But she seems so strong, right?
She does.
I think when she hears the word, when she's in that saber fight with Kylo Ren, and he's just grinding that saber almost right into her face, and he goes, I can teach you the ways of the Force. And right when she hears the word Force, she kind of like snaps, the Force. She closes her eyes, and right when she opens them up, it's like she gains this power. You know what I mean? Like the Force comes to her. Yeah, and not just comes to her, but like it moves through her. You know what I mean? Just like Luke when he took up the saber on the Millennium Falcon, and he had that sphere that he was training with, and he just Obi-Wan said the Force flows through you.
Yeah.
And
so he naturally started.
And he naturally,
blocking.
Yeah. That's kind of the same way I felt with Rey. She the Force channeled through her and actually guided her motions. Right. So dangerous part is, in my opinion, almost after that fight was over and the ground started splitting away from Rey and Kylo Ren, it looked like she had a different look on her face, like that dark side.
She would have finished the job.
So, yeah, I think you're right, Micah. I think she probably would have finished him off.
So what do you think? What do we think that is?
About the training. This would be episode 8, The Force Trains.
That sounds a little dirty.
Oh, my God.
That's pretty dirty. I didn't think about it like that. But yeah. So far we got one. The theme of episode, we have training. Right.
Well, let's go through from the beginning. Let's talk about beginning being the Phantom Menace, right?
Sure.
And go from episode 1 to where we're at now. So we have what? We got the Phantom Menace.
Attack of the
Clones.
And then Revenge of
the Sith. Right in between that, you got Rogue One. And we got New Hope.
Return of the Jedi.
No.
Empire.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Empire Strikes Back.
Sorry.
Yes. And then
Return
of the Jedi. So,
and we hear from the director, it's supposed to have a very much a feel like the episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. It might have a dark undertone, as we see we're being left off with Ren just killing his father, and Rey almost eclipsing that line that would turn her from good to bad by taking a defenseless.
They might go a different direction, because the New Hope is already like The Force Awakens. They're so similar. It's like almost the same movie, and I'll cover some of that later. But I don't think that the next step for episode 8 is gonna be like the same. It's gonna be okay. Let's do something like.
So it's not going to be like the First Order Strikes Back. The First Order Strikes Back.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like that.
No.
It can't be, right?
No.
It has to branch off.
I think it's going to branch off into something different. And moving on to the next topic. Topic number 2. Before we start the next topic, Louis, did you have anything you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, actually, we have small intermittent segments in between our topics. So each one of us is going to get 60 seconds uninterrupted on a specific topic they want to. My topic happens to be centered on character bios. So whenever you guys want to give me my 60 seconds, I'm ready. But before, I want to preface it with this isn't actually a character per se. But I think, this is the bomb that I was talking to you guys about earlier today. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead and drop.
And go.
All right. So, Luke needed to learn how to tap into a mystical field called the Force. George Lucas, even after The Empire Strikes Back, said in a conference talk with scriptwriter Lawrence Kasdan and director Richard Marquand, before they started shooting Return of the Jedi, Kasdan, who was, remember, the scriptwriter, said the Force was available to anyone who could hook into it? ? George Lucas, yes, everyone can do it. Kasdan, the scriptwriter, not just Jedi. George Lucas responds, it's just the Jedi who take the time to do it. Marquand, the director, they use it as a technique. Lucas, in response, like yoga. If you want to take the time to do it, you can do it. But the ones that really want to do it are the ones into that kind of thing, also like karate. So, in essence, everybody in the Star Wars universe
can tap into the Force.
Exactly. Which leads to what some
don't have to have these midichlorians, because I think they threw that out, right?
Right, and then now actually midichlorians are still canon. Okay. It's just
I thought it was not anymore.
From this article that I read, and a lot of it has to deal with this specifically midichlorians. I'm sure my 60 seconds is up, but yeah, he's responding.
You're on borrowed time.
We can start.
So everybody has blood cells in Star Wars universe, and within the blood cells,
the microscopic bacteria called
midichlorians.
Yeah.
So midichlorians, not being a character, but actually from George Lucas's mouth, are a species that everybody is aware of in the Star Wars universe.
Huh. All races have them?
Yes. It's just
most races.
Yeah.
So then, if we when was that article made? For the viewers are unaware.
Well, that quote was made how many years ago?
That was between. So that was in the 80s. Before Return of the Jedi and after Empire.
The 80s.
So the 80s. Yes, and this article was written on June 24th, 2013, from the. It says Behind the Scenes of Star Wars, written by J.W. Rinsler.
So if we accept this as truth, and obviously if it's coming from George Lucas, we want to accept that. Does that change the scope of how we interpret a character as being called Force sensitive then?
I think so.
Because we look at Rey, and obviously she's Force sensitive, honing in on her powers and becoming more articulate with that towards the end of The Force Awakens. But then we ask the question, is Poe Dameron, such an excellent rebellion pilot, is he Force sensitive? And then you could take that a step further. Is FN2187 or Finn, is he Force sensitive since he wielded the lightsaber?
Yeah. And I think...
so according to that, all you have to do is practice. If you believe in it, like Chirrut, whatever his name was, Rogue.
Yeah.
In Rogue One, yeah.
In Rogue One. Yeah, absolutely. So if he believed in it. Yeah, he believed in it so much that perhaps he was using the Force when he was walking towards... I guess, what is that called?
What do they call it? The Master Switch?
The Master Switch. When he's walking towards the Master Switch, he was calling upon the Force and the midichlorians within his body, and perhaps that's how he did not get hit by laser fire.
And how did he pray to do that?
Tim?
I have no idea.
I am one with the Force.
And the Force is with me.
The Force is with me. Right. So that was the bomb I wanted to drop on you guys. So I think that changes a lot of how we think of the characters. You know what I mean? Because, like you've said, Finn, right, Micah? Mm-hmm. You've said, Finn has to be Force sensitive. Maz Kanata, she knew Han Solo was coming into her tavern before she even turned around. She's like, Han Solo, is she Force sensitive? So maybe these characters are not necessarily knowing that they have the Force, but just like somebody who practices yoga, let's say you stretch in the morning every day. Isn't that kind of like yoga? I mean, it's not intense yoga, but it's a certain kind of yoga, stretching, a relaxation kind of thing. What if some of these characters that we know and love somehow inadvertently are harnessing the Force without even really knowing it.
And I think that's an excellent point, because we see Maz Kanata confronting Rey after she touches the lightsaber and has her vision. She says, "I'm no Jedi, but I know the Force." And being that she's been alive for approximately 1,000 years that we know of, she would have to have some knowledge that she would be able to in turn utilize.
Yeah.
Being quote unquote Force sensitive.
Yeah. So I don't know. I hope that was good enough. I know, Micah, you were anticipating me dropping this bomb, and I think it's a kind of bomb where it makes you rethink some of the characters that you thought, they can't use the Force. Yeah, everybody has the ability.
I start to think Finn can possibly be using the Force.
And think about it too. A lot of times when they, of course, it's Star Wars. So let's focus on the wars part. Like the Battle of Endor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got Ewoks, stormtroopers. You got Imperials. Attacking. So I want to talk specifically about the shield generator, where Han Solo and his group are attacking to deactivate the shield generator, right? I mean, Han Solo is making boom shots, and at some points it's just like, how did he make that shot from so far away? You know what I mean?
We even see that in episode 7.
Exactly.
When he comes out of the castle, he just throws his hand to the right and click boom and takes out a First Order soldier.
Yeah, he knew that soldier was gonna be there.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even look that way. It was just kind of, he walked out and boom, take him out. He took him out.
So how do you think we can adapt this new knowledge in accordance with, say, Rey's lineage?
That's the point I was about to bring up.
I know, that's what I was waiting for.
You could feel it, right? Yes.
I sensed it.
Yes, you did. I knew it. So from Micah, from your Facebook,
Obi-Wan.
You said that you felt like Rey lineage she's a Kenobi. And there was several responses to that in the thread. In my only response is, she's a Solo, which would explain her strength in the Force from Leia having many midichlorians, being lineage of Darth Vader. Han Solo, we don't know who his parents are, but if he has a higher count of midichlorians, which are now we know in every species in the Star Wars universe, then Rey's lineage, I think...
Possibly.
Great probability.
Possibly.
Possibly. Okay, I'll take a possibly. She could be a Solo. I don't know. What do you say, Tim? Are you absorbing? It seems like you're absorbing.
I have to argue against her being a Solo.
Thank you.
I mean, I could see why. I could see where, because I know there's some, like, one scene that really gets me is like when she walks out from. When Han Solo comes in and starts talking about how she was able to pilot the ship. She comes out and they finish each other's sentences.
Yes,
sure.
Like, that's a sign that's possibly okay. There's a connection there. They've just met, and all of a sudden they finish each other's sentences. Could be a coincidence. I don't know.
I mean, I think we want to attach, being that there's an open question to, again, her lineage is, and it could be possible that Lucasfilm, pulls a fast one on us, and she isn't from anyone that we're really aware of. But
yeah,
I think
that in there to throw us off.
Yeah, sure. But I think with that question mark, we want to, ourselves, we want to attach it to these characters to hold them in a higher regard, to give them some, something more significant. I mean, I like the idea of her being a Solo.
She pilots the Millennium Falcon, how like she was able to, dodge the attacks from the TIE fighters and make some maneuvers that probably no other pilot could make, but she was able to make, and she just.
Well, yeah, and even then, she's in
anybody
fact,
else can make it, Han Solo would.
Well, because if anything, she's also directing Han Solo to get the Millennium Falcon to take off outside the freighter, because she says, remember, you got to hit the fuel pump. That was something that Unkar Plot created, but But then there's some kind of error that when they're in hyperspace, she has to bypass something. I don't remember what it was exactly. But Han Solo was kind of like
the compressor.
bypass the compressor, yes. And even Han Solo was kind of taken back, like, wow, and so something like this, that would be great to, kind of levy that okay, maybe she is a
So
Solo.
who wants to? This is the thing, right? Okay, who wants to make a bet? Right here, right
here
now.
the bets come.
Yes, got to make a bet.
Okay.
Who would you stake her parents being?
Parents right now?
Yeah.
I would say... Oh, I don't know about her parents, but her grandparent...
Okay.
Obi-Wan.
So you're going
Obi. Obi is a grandparent, not the actual parent.
Okay.
Force
I would
is
say
strong with you, my
possibly
son.
Luke is the father.
But I'm saying, Tim, okay.
I would put my money on Luke being the father.
$1 bet. I'm taking Han Solo and Princess Leia.
Okay.
$1. And it's not about the money, right? It's about the next time we come to this table, right? Or after the movie airs and we find out who her parents are.
Yeah.
I'm going to come to the table and put the dollar right here. It's not about the money. It's just saying, hey, I won this bet. So I do you want to end this bet, Micah?
I'll take some action.
Well, it's like none of them. And she was just... we cover the reincarnation. Like, what if she was...
Of course, I'm trying to look solely on what we've seen here, what we've seen in the movies, and of course, but also taking into effect a interview with Daisy Ridley herself. She says to her, of course, that's with knowledge, having shot episode 8, having read the plot, and everything, that to her it is apparent in episode 7, The Force Awakens, that it is apparent to whom her family is, who her parents are,
yes, or
perhaps who her grandparents are. Having said that, I think the movie does a good way of almost insisting that she is a Skywalker. She is lineage to Luke. But I just think there's other things in there, little playful hints, parallels that they like to do. Like, I know you brought up to insinuate, Obi-Wan Kenobi really might be a grandfather. I don't think it's possible that she's a father, with the time passage that we have between episode 6 and 7, of course, and how old is she supposed to be? She's supposed to be approximately anywhere from 16 to 19, as much as Luke was in episode 4.
Kenobi would have had to come back as a Force ghost, and,
The Ghost Awakens.
Yeah, exactly.
To make a child.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait,
well then how about this? How was Anakin?
Kenobi is Rey. Is that what we're saying here?
There was one thought at time. No, there was a theory that came out one time that
could be Rey.
That the Force
reincarnated.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would do that. I did hear a theory that would insinuate that the Force reincarnated Anakin as Rey.
Okay, I could buy that.
So, that would be that'd be cool and everything. I wouldn't buy it as in it would be Kenobi reincarnated, because we did we have seen before, as prescribed in, I think it was the Clone Wars, that Kenobi has had a love child.
Yeah.
And who says it didn't happen again? Because there's still things that are happening, much like, how Rogue One came out for us. Yeah. How Rogue One came out for us, we actually finally figured out, and actually saw the story, what, was prior to The New Hope. There are still things coming out, which is what really happened still after the Clone Wars, still after episode 3, even before Rogue One. Yeah. So there's a whole other story that we haven't even heard yet, as far as that's concerned. But I mean, there's a lot of nice ideas out there, but if I put my hat on anything right now, I'd like to think she's a Kenobi.
She is a Kenobi.
So it's 2 Kenobis against a Solo.
Yes. Let me give you the reasons why.
Okay.
I jotted some stuff down based off some sources I got on the interwebs.
Oh, nice. See, I'm just going by heart.
Okay.
Purely.
Yeah,
well, see, my heart was saying Skywalker, but once I started looking in further, that's when I started saying.
And you might have heard of some of this already, Micah.
Okay. Go, Tim.
Let's see. But before, I'll start off with the rumors. Right. So rumors in Lucasfilm for the newer episodes 8 and 9, or possibly they're gonna have a Force ghost of Obi-Wan in both of these movies.
Oh, nice. I'd like that.
That'd be great
to show. That shows a connection between. Why else would he be there? I mean,
And even Evan McGregor just came out saying
with
he wanted
Luke,
to.
yeah, but I don't think Luke could. For 8 and 9, is Luke gonna survive till 9? I don't know, but it's possibly that's who she's gonna be communicating with at some level. Also, we have the creative executive Pablo Hidalgo from Lucasfilm. He says that, quote, lineage is important in regards to Rey.
Yeah.
Okay, and you were talking about that earlier.
Yep.
So that's another hint there. And let's see. Also, like in one of her interviews, when she was asked about being a daughter of Solo, she laughed and said no.
Really?
That she's not. And it seemed like she thought it was ridiculous. Like, funny that people would think that she's a Solo.
Okay.
And
Lois is losing $2.
I know.
And in another interview, that's why I was waiting for you to finish. And in another interview, she gets asked the same question, but if she's Obi-Wan's, but if she's going to be Obi-Wan's granddaughter. And she did not say no. She said, we'll wait and see what happens next year. She just left it open. She didn't answer it. So, I mean, would you lie to,
She might have like program responses too, though, because the first one she can laugh off because to her obviously it would be no, maybe to Solo, but maybe not give an actual credible response because again we have seen that Disney or specifically Lucasfilm will give out disinformation. So we're hearing multiple stories, multiple different arcs that even if you hear it, you can't trust it, and you hear something else, and it might be that, but you can't trust that either until we actually see it unfold on the screen.
Of course. Well, yeah, Lucasfilm is where George Lucas was known for that. As a matter of fact, I think Return of the Jedi was Blue Harvest or something like that was the working title.
That was the code name? Oh, wow.
Code title for Return of the Jedi was Blue Harvest or something like that. So, Tim? Tim?
What's that?
Those are rumors, though, right?
No, the first one was.
The first one was
a rumor about Obi-Wan being in episode 8 and 9.
How do you feel about that?
So
you like that?
I do like that.
I
want to see McGregor come back as Obi-Wan.
And he's made it known that he wanted to, and apparently there's a lot of questions.
Coming back. He didn't mind coming back to do.
And it sounded like they were pushing for an independent film or a Star Wars story, but they've been holding off. They don't want to talk about it, perhaps for what happens.
What would be great for Disney to do this, to make Obi-Wan related to her, like as a grandfather. It would be great for Disney because then they have an opening for another. Trilogy of movies, more money because you're gonna get Obi-Wan Kenobi trilogy, and how did he have,
or even a standalone, or a standalone. But even if they did,
you could do a standalone, but I think that Disney would milk it and do a whole
trilogy,
on Obi-Wan. I wouldn't mind seeing a whole trilogy on Obi-Wan.
No, I think Ewan McGregor did a great job with the Obi-Wan character. His little nuances and just like his little maybe facial expressions and stuff like that really reminded me of maybe how Obi-Wan would be, especially how he was in his older age, just the way he his hand gestures and just those little things. Ewan McGregor really captured that. I was really pleased with his performance, and I wouldn't mind seeing him, come back. That'd be awesome. I really would. It'd really connect a lot of these stories together.
I mean, of course, we can't see Alec Guinness come back, but
yeah.
But I think, because that actually would bring it to an interesting point, because I've also heard about Hayden Christensen coming back, potentially as a Force Ghost, or maybe even a flashback. But
I wanted him to come back as Vader.
Yes. Tim and I talked about this. We talked about it. We were like, what if we see Vader?
Yes.
And let's say this is supposed to be a war movie. Rogue One, we're talking about, of course. Rogue One, it's a war movie. And what if it's,
the timeline was just right.
It was right.
For him to come back as that age.
Yes.
And reveal himself as Vader.
Yeah. Maybe we're thinking a battle damaged Vader.
Yeah.
You know, half of his
face gets taken.
his face mask gets ripped off by a laser blast or something, and that half. You see Hayden Christensen. Yes.
That would be fun.
And then
Yeah.
Tim, I know you felt it because I did too. We were sitting next to each other, right? Watching Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Tim was sitting next to me. My wife, Sandy, was on my right side. Tim was on my left side. And I know Tim, because I wanted to say it right in the middle of the movie. Back to tank.
Mm-hmm.
Starting to close up. That it's kind of like that fog mist was kind of coming away, and you almost see his face, and I was like, "It's Hayden Christensen." It just didn't get to that.
I had to sit back in my seat. I was just waiting for it.
Yeah, and lo and behold, we didn't get Hayden Christensen, right? So
all I got was a bunch of fog.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been great if we could see that. But if we do get to see him as a Force ghost for Anakin Skywalker in Episode 8, then maybe that would be supporting information if Ewan McGregor would be the actual Force ghost. Because remember in Episode 7, we would like to question it when we see Kylo Ren, seeing him being seduced by the dark side, or by the light side. He's asking
another
for
topic we got to get into.
Exactly, but he's asking for help from his grandfather.
Yes.
So which grandfather, Anakin or Darth Vader?
But do we know that we're seeing him as a Force ghost, right?
I think they've mentioned it.
Or is Kylo Ren so gone?
Well, in the script, it's with Episode 7 in the script. Kylo was talking to Vader. His Force ghost.
So we know for sure that in the script he's talking to a Force ghost.
It was there, but in the movie they didn't show any of that.
Yeah. Well, of course, that you have to keep the movie.
They did say Force ghost though. That would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been really. I don't want to say helpful, but it would have. Because to me, in a way, without Kylo Ren seeing the Force ghost, kind of made him sound a little crazy.
Yeah.
Sure. You're talking to
one of his collected charms.
Yeah, exactly. Which was one of my theories a long time ago, right?
Vader fanboy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that we could recover DNA and reconstruct him or something. Weren't you saying that?
Yeah,
collecting all the elements for Vader. To bring him back.
Yeah,
And the last thing was what we were talking about getting his blood.
Yeah.
Luke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe that's something we can talk about next time. I don't know, or maybe in a future show.
So Luke, he's gonna die next.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna go out. I think he's gonna have a very pivotal role in this one.
Yeah.
But we might see him go away.
He might die in his sleep like Yoda.
Like Yoda.
He won't die in his sleep. He'll die of battle scars trying to pull Rey and maybe even Ren if he converts. Away from the final battle, perhaps, that they'll have at the end of the episode. And then he dons the Obi-Wan role that we see him as a Force ghost in episode 5 and 6.
Can I
what's up?
I'm going to be a scriptwriter right now.
Okay.
Luke wants to train Rey, right?
I don't think he wants to, but he's going to have to.
Well, he probably will have to, right? Somehow Luke and Rey confront Rey's brother, Kylo Ren. Luke
There we go.
engages Kylo Ren in a lightsaber battle. Luke is about to destroy Kylo Ren, and Rey turns on Luke. And that's how he dies. Because I think it has to be something monumental like that.
It has to be. Now, that would be fun. And I think we're going to see that in some essence. Because I read something a long time ago, a supposed leaked plot. But of course we know there's always going to be rewrites.
Yeah.
Of course we know other things are going to be leaked out to show that not the actual story. But, part of that is that somehow Snoke corrupts Rey into fighting Luke with Ren. So either way, that is something I want to see. Jedi Grandmaster Luke Skywalker in his last moments fending off two would-be very powerful pupils.
They might even give the kill to Snoke, because the reason why I say that is because they have to show his power. We don't want to make Snoke weak. He's going to be the one training Kylo Ren, so why not show his power by him killing Luke somehow.
Yeah.
Because you got Sidious was the one. He's like he killed Plagueis.
Yeah. And
You know
what
what
we
I mean?
really
And
didn't.
you have
Go ahead.
yeah, and then Vader obviously, you know how strong he is. So being the main antagonist, not really being Kylo, but Snoke, you have to
I can see
showcase his power, and what better way to do that by him killing?
Well, that's true, but we didn't
Yeah.
see Sidious' power until when?
The final moments of
Episode
three?
Episode
Three?
Yeah.
Well,
That's even when he told the story about him.
yeah. Well, let's rewind and go not in
Indirectly.
not in chronological order, episode 1 through episode 7, but let's go chronologically when they made the movies. So first they started 4. You kind of hear of the Emperor's name. You hear the Emperor. Emperor, disbanded the Senate. We don't ever have to worry about the Senate again.
Okay.
Right? Episode 2, we finally see the Emperor, right? He's talking to Vader from hologram, right? Talking about Luke Skywalker.
Episode 5?
Episode 5, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi. You don't see the power of the Emperor until he
Okay,
lightning forces Luke Skywalker almost to death.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you see his power.
That was the true power. I'm sorry. Yeah, so it wasn't episode 3. It's actually 6.
Yeah.
That
I mean, the
shows-
first time that the viewer saw it.
Yeah.
So good.
So that's why I'm saying not necessarily because Snoke's power isn't. I mean, yes,
All right, now you just see him as powerless.
he does seem powerless because we haven't seen him, quote unquote, use the Force, right? But if Kylo Ren is in turmoil within himself and Snoke is manipulating him,
Using him as a
using
weapon.
the Force as a weapon. I mean, even Han Solo even tells him, once Snoke is done with you, it's over. And you know that. Just come with me. So it's very obvious even to Han Solo and to Kylo Ren because, he kind of looks away like, yeah, I know once Snoke's done with me, it's over for me. He can dispose of me. So I think Snoke is showing his power through the Force. You know what I mean? Maybe not with Force lightning or with a lightsaber or, something of those means, but whether he's using the Force.
Insidious.
Exactly.
Power.
Yeah. It's actually more of a heinous kind of manipulation, which is, I think maybe even worse than, Force lightning or wielding a lightsaber because he's almost willing Kylo Ren to do his bidding just by talking to him. Just like I do to you at work, Tim. I'm just messing with you, man. But
I think
no.
Kylo was supposed to kill. He's gonna kill Snoke.
If he kills Snoke,
Like how I'm gonna backstab you at work.
I knew it. You were scheming the whole time.
but do you think if
And Tim, when you take me out, it will be with a smile on my face because I taught you well.
Go to the dark side.
There you go, man. Awesome. Very nice. Very nice.
do you think he'll do it in a weakened state or more as because he gained all the knowledge he possibly can?
No,
And he wants to take on a new apprentice himself.
I don't think any. I don't know if Snoke is a Sith Lord or not, but I don't think any Sith Lord master will teach his apprentice everything.
Oh, sure.
Right? Not everything, and then I think that's why Palpatine didn't learn everything from Plagueis.
Okay.
Right? I know he learned a lot. Right? Enough to help create Vader. They allude to that. But, to cheat death? No. The only way that the Emperor, at least because we're going to talk about canon and non-canon and legend and all that stuff. The only way that Sidious Palpatine, whatever you want to call him, the Emperor, the only way that he's eluded death is from cloning himself. So that's the only way that he's eluded death, at least this far. But I don't know. Maybe probably time to move on to the next topic.
Yeah. So we've already covered actually part of topic 2 already when we were covering that.
Okay.
With your quote unquote bombshell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how did y'all like that?
About everybody being forced away.
Yeah. How did y'all feel about that?
I
think it makes everything more into question. You know? It makes everything more obscure. Like we don't know what's from what.
Yeah.
So
I
would say well done.
Thank you.
Damn you.
Yes.
Into let's see. We got here Rogue One. After watching that movie, do y'all have any thoughts on what happened, what went down in that movie?
Well, we covered a few things about some of the characters. I always thought of the rebels as quote unquote the good guys, right? The light side of the force. Mm-hmm. And now we see that maybe they did some underhanded things, to keep the rebellion alive.
Sure.
Which we hadn't seen that side. We always had a clear cut. These are the good guys. These are the bad guys. The good guys do the right thing and
they're not willing to do bad things to advance that.
Exactly.
Either.
And Rogue One,
they had to do that too.
Yeah, they changed to achieve all that.
Like if they didn't do any of that, how would they achieve their goal?
I think it was great, but I think what opened my eyes to seeing that they're doing what's necessary to advance that. We see Cassian Andor turn around and shoot that.
Well, they kind of had to do what they went into, because Jen went on her own with the Rogue team, and they kind of just like, well, she's already in the middle of the thick of it. Let's go help her out. So, they just had to. They were just forced into doing that. I don't think they wanted to. Of course, they didn't want to do that. But
yeah.
Well, sure, but I mean, like when you see Cassian Andor, like he had to shoot that guy, of course, because he would spill whatever to the Imperial soldiers that are going about in that town, but. That's not something we would characterize that as a good person. Yeah. And again, it was for the better of the cause. It was it was necessary, but we wouldn't again usually identify that as the good guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Shooting someone, was it even in the back too, right?
Yeah, it was in the back. It's like, hey,
I applaud them for doing that, but it just goes to show, you get in this mess and no one's hands are clean.
Yeah,
so
it's like putting your arm around somebody that got in trouble at work.
Yeah.
Hey, it's gonna be okay. Hey, you know what? You're fired.
But it'll be okay.
Yeah, but it'll be okay. It's like
not here, but okay.
Yeah, you'll be okay in general. So that's one of the things that I took away from Rogue One.
That film was dark. It could have been darker. Based off of like what we were seeing in the trailers, and then it didn't show up in the movies.
I wanted to see more of Saw Gerrera.
Oh, definitely.
He was a really great character,
and he seemed pretty twisted too. So I would have loved to see.
An interesting thing about Saw Gerrera, I also just found this out, but the writer for Rogue One, Chris White, originally had Jin as the victim being interrogated by the that tentacle. I think Borgullet is Borgullet.
That sounds right. Yeah.
That when he was, instead of interrogating that pilot Bodhi, there he was interrogating. In the original script, he was supposed to interrogate Jin.
Oh, really?
That would have been fun
interesting to see.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah, so instead of attacking the main character, instead of attacking someone, so.
That stuff we'll probably never, ever see.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It definitely would have been interesting if, and that's also assuming I think it would be more interesting if Jin stays as how we know her from what was actually aired through Rogue One, as being, taken in by Saw Gerrera. So if we kept that being taken in by Saw Gerrera, and it's like an uncle or something, and then him doing that, then that could have really shows how twisted and how corrupted Saw Gerrera's mind has been through the course of all his battles and experience.
And so paranoid, right?
Yeah.
To that extent.
Are you here to kill me?
Yeah. I mean, Forrest Whitaker, man. Oh God,
he did a great job.
He is a great actor of all genres. You know what I mean? And he nailed that part. I think he nailed it.
I loved him in Bloodsport.
Yes. That was a good one. Oh, Tim. That's a good one.
It's the other podcast, bro.
That's all right. That's one of his movies.
Well, you know what I missed in Rogue One, though? Not necessarily that it had to be him that came out in Rogue One.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen Wookiees in Rogue One, because they were one of the they were one of the major species in correct me if I'm wrong, or whoever's listening to this podcast, you can let me know if I'm wrong, but I was under the assumption that the first Death Star, they took Wookiees as slaves to work on the Death Star and help construct it. And maybe it was the second Death Star, but I was under the assumption it was the first Death Star, and kind of sad we didn't see any Wookiees.
That would have been nice, but
we didn't
see
all wiped
much.
out with that battle on
Kashyyyk?
episode 3.
Yeah,
like they were all the ones left was Chewie and.
No,
there's still a lot more, because I think in even a video game they showed like there was like an internment camp with them being held, and one of the missions was to go free them. Or something.
that's.
So I think they were still there, but I think that's just one of the things. Like, it's something as fans we want to see, but it's superfluous to the story itself.
Yeah,
because I think the only scenes we see of the Death Star obviously is when they're putting on that big shield-looking thing, which I guess was some kind of harness for the kyber crystals to create the beam. But then also, other than that, was like the observation deck where we see Grand Moff Tarkin, or Governor Tarkin, and Director Krennic as they're viewing their targeted areas.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe we get to see a deleted scene or a clip or an extended something behind the story on a Rogue One DVD Blu-ray.
Are we gonna get everything? All the deleted scenes in the Blu-ray special edition.
If we were lucky,
gold edition, platinum edition.
They'll always be missing the scenes.
Rogue edition.
Well, I don't know.
This is stolen goods, but I'm still keeping it.
Yeah, for real. I want to see the deleted scenes, but like you said, I don't know if we're gonna get all of them. It would be neat to see what this other story would have been. But Micah, you brought up a good point the other day about, and I'll let you say it because you say it so well. Like, had they not reshot?
Okay.
Yeah, like say it how you say it. Cause
we watched the trailer and then we see the movie, and there's many scenes that obviously we were anticipating and we didn't see in the trailers themselves. Scenes that we really would have wanted to see. However, I do have to accept that part of the reshoots was the truly terrifying 30 seconds we get of Darth Vader at the end. He was part of the reshoot, so it's very possible we wouldn't have gotten to see how these rebels face to face saw this menacing, terrifying character that just wipe them out. Yeah,
So you're saying just to make the emotion stronger, or that scene stronger, they had to reshoot?
I think.
No. They did many reshoots, I guess, scattered throughout the movie, or even to change the ending. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, if they didn't do those reshoots, if they kept it as they wanted to, then more than likely we wouldn't have seen that menacing scene at the end.
In my opinion, I think that scene would have still been there, no matter what.
Because they said it was part of the reshoots.
They said that scene at the end with Vader was a part of the reshoot. Mm-hmm. That was a reshoot.
They had someone who, I don't remember the name in front of me, but they brought in a writer to help change up the ending, I guess, to make it, because they didn't originally like it, the director. And that was part of it. Okay. And like I said, I could be wrong. So anyone listening, please correct me if I'm incorrect.
Why not just use that reshoot and then leave the rest of the movie the way it was with the... how dark it was.
Well, because we don't know
yeah.
what was originally seen.
Maybe
too.
it wouldn't have made sense. Yeah.
It's possible it would have made
Leading up
sense.
to
It's
that.
possible because from what we gathered, it almost seemed as if they would have still been alive, and that would have been more questions
So
than not. But again, we saw Vader. That's one of the huge things I wanted to see out of this movie is I want to see Vader just go in there and just relentlessly destroy rebels.
yeah,
The rebel scum. And you know what? I saw it and
I loved
God
it.
damn it, I love it.
just him, wielding the Force at will, and just pinning rebels to the ceiling and to the wall, and just
When they-
was he absorbing
Yes.
fire? Like
He absorbed something.
yeah,
He did.
Because when he walks up and he tosses the rebel to the ceiling, this guy is still alive.
He
He's like,
absorbed
oh,
the
hell,
shot.
I'm paralyzed. I can't do anything. Vader's holding him there with his fist. And then he swings up the lightsaber and nearly, and kills him like that. Like, that, how scary is that got to be?
Yeah.
The guy's just like,
Go back and
what's going on here?
yeah, that was.
And then right after that scene, he absorbs something.
I
And then
missed-
he releases it to
I
the
missed
next.
that. But I have to go back and watch it because I heard about
Yeah.
that.
Speaking of that, how many times have you seen Rogue One?
I've only seen it one time.
For
Just
shame.
the one time,
Yep.
Tim, the one time you saw it
Uh-huh.
is the one time I saw it, and that was with you, and our group of 15 other people.
We consumed a whole row. On
Yeah.
No less than 15.
Yeah, that's the only one and only time that I've seen it.
So
as well.
any listeners, I apologize for these two cats. They've only seen it
one
time
two
apiece?
times, two. We can say 2 times because Tim's seen it once and I've seen it once, so that's 2.
That's 2
Well,
times.
collectively, then we've seen it 4 times because I've only seen it twice, and I feel bad as a fan. I haven't done my
One
job.
Plus 1
Yes.
plus 2.
Yes.
We will make it up to you.
Yes, we will. I intend to. I know my parents want to see it, and they always wait for the dollar cinema. So
They
maybe-
can't for this one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be off all next week.
Take 'em,
Yeah,
both.
I'm probably gonna take my parents
duty.
to go watch it. They enjoyed when I took them to go watch The Force Awakens.
Oh,
They
good,
really
good.
enjoyed that one. They're anticipating the next one coming out, and I told them about Rogue One, and I think, and maybe we can talk about just very briefly about this. Fans, not necessarily fans, I guess, non-fans, and kind of like bandwagon fans, don't really know where Rogue One falls in the Star Wars timeline.
But they will.
But I think they will eventually. But we even had maybe a Star Wars semi-fan, I guess you want to call them. Maybe 1 or 2 in our group that really, they're like, when did was this before Luke? Was this after Luke? Because Darth Vader's here. I don't see Han Solo.
It was a prequel of the sequels, which were the sequels of the prequels.
Yes. All right. Let me get the chalkboard.
But essentially, it was a sequel to everything. It's the last thing that we've seen.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't chronological, so I can see the confusion, but I think that's a great thing that they did with episode 7 because we did see many elements from episode 4, 5, and 6, and it was a new movie in itself, but it was a way to introduce new fandom, new fans into the fandom, to bring them into the Star Wars family and listen to everything, and so that's why I took Rogue One almost as like episode 3.9, just before, episode 4 really takes place, almost, within potentially minutes as we see.
Yeah.
That this was, almost created for the fans and almost the original fans, obviously with episode 4 being shot back in 1977 and so on onto that. So I was really appreciative to get to see, really this is what kicked everything off and led to the first episode aired that we saw.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up something that's very, I don't want to say, you know what, let me just throw it on the table. And I want y'all to just hear me out. I know I got my 60 seconds, but I just want you to hear me out just real quick.
20 seconds, go.
Okay. One of the, when Carrie Fisher saw Rogue One, a couple of days after that, I think it was in a tweet or I don't know if it's her Facebook page. I'm pretty sure it was a tweet though. She voiced her opinion, and I don't want to quote her, but I'll say it was kind of along the lines of, wow, they don't even need you to play the younger you, as though, hey, why didn't you, I have my facial structure still. Why didn't you just shoot me and then make me younger? And then the next day, she had a heart attack on an airplane. Thoughts?
Are we trying to connect that?
I don't want to connect. I don't want to be, saying connecting, but it's maybe it sounds like it affected her in some way.
Well, again, it's devastating that happened.
Yeah.
If that's truly the case, if there's some evidence that comes out later in some discussion with a friend or a relative, whatever, that would be really hurt. I think that would hurt a lot of the fans, especially advocates and supporters of Carrie Fisher. I like to hope that's not the case, but I would have thought that Lucasfilm would have reached out, Kathleen Kennedy being the president, would have reached out and said, hey, this is what we want to do. Do we have your blessing on it? Yeah. Because, of course, they own the character, the image. They can do whatever they wish, but, I'm sure there could have been some way that they could have made it amicable between, the actor who created this new Disney princess of ours.
I agree. I think they haven't cartoonized her in the Disney way yet. No. I wouldn't mind seeing that. That'd be kind of cool,
So that goes to, I wonder if that's the same case that we see with Peter Cushing's family or relatives, playing Governor Tarkin.
Yeah, they got permission from them, though.
They got permission?
They did.
Okay.
Yeah, they did. I read an article because my wife, Sandy, she didn't know that was CGI. Believe it or not. Because I asked...
If I didn't know he had already passed, I wouldn't have known that either, because they did a great job.
They did.
They did a phenomenal job. It's one of those things where you kind of have to do a double take, like, there's something weird, but I'm not sure.
I can't pinpoint it?
Right.
Yeah, and I told her, I was like, that character? And I showed her on my phone, a picture of Peter Cushing as General Tarkin, or Governor Tarkin, I'm sorry. And I said, he died in the early 90s? And she goes, but if he died in the early 90s, how
was he there?
How did he play that part?
I was so impressed with that scene.
It was awesome, right? I mean,
I want to go back and watch it again.
Exactly.
And the actor, I want to say his name is Guy Mitchell. I'm not sure.
I think
but the actor who portrayed him in Rogue One, they didn't even do a voiceover. That was, from my understanding, that was his actual voice impersonating.
You're right.
And that just, man, that's wonderful.
It was almost dead on.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Very believable. I was right into that.
Yeah.
So I was, it's hard to see for them to do that, but then again, it's not like they're gonna continuously do that. It was something necessary for that.
Can I ask you something, Micah? Because you're the only one here that's seen it more than one time.
I accept that.
I'm in the same boat with Tim. Okay, so the first time we went, had expectations, right? I want to see this scene. I want to see Vader do this. I want to see that. I want to see Wookiees, whatever the case may be, right? So now the second time you went to see it, your expectations are kind of like gone because you know what you saw already. Second time around, because I saw myself at certain scenes, like when Tarkin had his back towards the camera, and then he turned. It's kind of like you're like, oh wow, look, this is Tarkin, and now
I can watch it objectively without the anticipation affecting it.
Exactly, and almost like I didn't really pay attention to what he was saying. Is like first 2 or 3 sentences, I was just like just looking at Tarkin. Yeah. That's him. And like not even really Yeah. I was like, oh my God, man, like ultimate fanboy. You know what I mean? I was kind of like, I was telling Tim when we were, at work discussing some of these things, on our downtime and on break. I said, Tim, you're gonna have to shock treat me back into life. Yeah. And be like, oh God, clear.
Give us some room, give us some space.
Yeah. So bringing it back. Now that you saw it the second time, you know what to expect. Not necessarily this movie by heart, but now you're able to look at, listen to it, look at it objectively. How did you feel about it?
Well, I mean, obviously, nothing can beat anticipation. Sometimes, say, little kids, they don't like Christmas so much as they like the night before they get to open their presents.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so for this one, obviously your first viewing of it is, something you can't, relive.
Yeah.
Now, watching it for the second time, still great movie, still great time. You didn't have to worry about the anticipation, so it allowed me to relax, really just be taken back and enjoy the film itself, and actually try to not necessarily in a negative way, but to critique the film and look at those things and to try to see if it lives up to the hype, such as watching Governor Tarkin's character and seeing how well he did it, how they did the CGI to say for his face and see how well it flowed and how everything was portrayed in the movie, and even reliving Princess Leia at the end and being able to appreciate that. And I'm not going to say I liked it more the second time. It was almost like a different viewing. Yeah. Because again, that anticipation, you can't really overcome that short of erasing your memory, but having the opportunity to watch it again, which would be fantastic if we could do that.
Yes.
But it's not that simple. But again, to being able to relax, enjoy the movie for what you know is to come, especially those points that you really want to see again, such as Darth Vader at the end. It was still a very great movie, and you can appreciate more things and try to see the inner workings, the minutia, if you will, and it lives up to the hype that it did for the first one.
Absolutely.
And just going to show just how much effort, time, and unfortunately even money it took for the recreation of Governor Tarkin and Princess Leia and everything else. And definitely got to see it a third time. You boys got to see it a second time.
Yes, I probably definitely will see it next.
Probably definitely will.
Probably
there is no try.
There is no try, right? I'm gonna have to bring Yoda with me. I guess we gotta move along, right? I think Tim.
Move along.
Right. Let's go to your 60 seconds, Tim. I think it's time for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess in
60 seconds, uninterrupted.
Last
Tim
time turned into an hour.
It did. I'll take my hour.
Some of these topics we already covered.
I'll cover this probably not in 60 seconds, but I just wanted you guys to know. I don't know if you guys know this already, but I just found out today. That Gareth Edwards, the director of the film for Rogue One, there was a part in the movie where was it like all the dogfights, the scene where near the end where they're all fighting up there in orbit. Well, that scene, there was a couple moments I had where the pilots, so the camera would cut to the pilots, and I'm like, why does this look so vintage? It looks so old. And I go, well, maybe they used some old cameras or something, right? They had to have used something old. Well, it turns out to be the original footage from A New Hope. So what we were looking at when we were watching Rogue One was deleted scenes, or not deleted, I wouldn't say deleted scenes that were not used in A New Hope. Gareth Edwards was actually looking for props for Rogue One, and he stumbled across these films and asked what it was. And they told him it was scenes that weren't used for A New Hope. So he took that and he used it in the movie. So that's what we're seeing when you're seeing them fighting and you're looking at the pilots. We're looking at A New Hope for Rogue One.
Very
cool,
nice, man. That is cool, man.
So
they're using.
It makes it even more A New Hope when everybody's saying it's already A New Hope. It's like, well, there you go. Now we got scenes from New Hope in there too.
Yeah, and that's amazing. They're pulling no punches. It seems like they're using every archive, every computer generated, every every script writing tool that they have. They got a Batman belt of stuff that they're using and pulling to put these movies together. And as a fan, I have to say thank you.
Absolutely.
Because as a fan, I was saddened when George Lucas was still the owner of Star Wars. He said after Return of the Jedi, and he said there was going to be no more movies. Then we got the prequels, and then he said after the prequels, this is over. It's done. Yeah, it's done. The story arc is complete. There are no more movies. Don't expect them.
But Disney said no.
Yes.
Almost has it.
Yes.
So when we heard about that, was it 4 years ago now or something?
Yeah.
I remember when the news broke.
Yeah, it was multi-feeling experience.
It's exciting to hear that Disney's going to do something.
Yeah, you're happy.
All their movies are always number one, and once you hear Disney was getting Star Wars, it's like, oh my gosh.
Tim, excited is not the word. You know what? How I was overjoyed was my word.
How overjoyed were you?
I was spilling over in joy. When you go to the corner store.
Did you have to change your pampers?
Yes, I filled them up twice. When you go to the corner store and you're filling up with Dr. Pepper and the fountain drink, and it's just like overspilling. Because you want to fill that sucker up all the way to the brim with Dr. Pepper. Yeah. I was overjoyed to hear that they were going to make more Star Wars movies.
We apologize again for the listeners right now.
Yes.
And actually going back to, taking some of those unaired clips from episode 4. I think they might have used some of the audio clips again because you don't hear clips like, watch a Red 7, you got one on your tail or whatever.
Yeah.
But I did, I was paying attention because what was Luke's...
Wow, this is like I'm watching the old...
Well, see, I caught it when I watched it, but I was like, wow, did they really do that?
And I was like, maybe they're just using old cameras to get that effect.
And you know what I thought they did? I thought they did the same thing they did with Tarkin with those shots. Is like computer generated them somehow.
Yeah, to make it look authentic.
To make it look,
Star Wars.
Exactly.
And they were really brief, so it's possible that they did a little touch up as much as they could without changing the integrity of it. Perhaps. Yeah. But do you remember what Luke's call sign was in episode 4?
Red 5 standing by.
Red 5.
It's Red 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was a Red 5 in Rogue One.
That's the guy with the mustache. No. Did he have a mustache?
No, he was Blue Leader.
Oh, yeah, that right.
Yeah, he was the Blue Leader that was stuck on Scarif.
That's right.
In the airspace of Scarif, I guess.
That's right.
But no, there is a Rogue 5 in the movie, and you hear him. I don't think he was the one that. I don't think he was one of the pilots that crashed into the Skygate, or I forgot what the exact name of it is, or the Moongate, I guess. But there was one, I guess, he was being trailed by a TIE fighter, and you hear Red 5, going down, or Red 5 is down, or something to that effect. I'm like, cool, I guess there's an opening for my boy named Luke. Luke. So.
Wow. Could have been Biggs before that, but,
I would have liked to see, even Wedge, but I guess...
Yeah.
I guess you don't want to, put too much in there and convolute it too much, especially another character that potentially could have been killed, but he wasn't going to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Tim, you got your 60 seconds.
So we're into
topic 3?
Topic 3, yeah. So we're covering Star Wars events or stuff that's going around the world, which is on the internet, Netflix, and on TV. First thing is Vader's Fist, 501st update. Some people might not know what Vader's Fist 501st is.
Yeah, they're a group of fans around the world that it's like a club, They dress up in Star Wars garb, Darth Vader, stormtroopers, Imperial officers,
Princess
rebels,
Leia from episode 6.
Yeah, there you go. and they'll go and they'll make appearances. If you do a donation to one of the charities that they sponsor, they do it for free. But like I said, for the most part, they want you to donate to a charity that they represent. And recently, I found and I tagged Tim here and Micah that a little girl was finally being adopted after about 3 years of being fostered. She finally got adopted, and her adoptive mother asked her what she wanted for her gift, and since it was around Christmas, she asked if Darth Vader could be at her adoption, which I thought was
Start
awesome.
the kids right. That's
Yeah, exactly. The adoptive mother thought, she would want Santa Claus there, because it's around Christmas time that this all happened. No, she said, I want Darth Vader there. Yes. And the 501st stepped up.
She even made cookies for Darth Vader.
Yes, exactly. That is awesome, right? Right. The dark side does have cookies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I thought that was amazing. Hopefully we can keep this in our topics, because the 501st does, not only do they do awesome things like this for charities, they also do events at Star Wars Celebration, which we might talk about here in a little bit.
You see them a lot at cons. I've seen them at cons before.
Yeah, exactly.
Get in touch with them there.
Mm-hmm. So I urge everybody, if you have an event coming up, or you want to help a charity, get in touch with Vader's Fist, the 501st. You can find them on Facebook, or just look them up, at their website, which is the 501st, or you can look up Vader's Fist and find them very easily that way. But they're doing really great things over there, so props to them.
There you go. And another event to look forward to is we got the Star Wars celebrations. Should be coming up
in Orlando.
Yeah.
Is it April, right?
Yeah, I believe it's in April. So guys, the big thing, right? Well, before celebration, and this isn't. Maybe it does have something to do with Star Wars. We got. I think it's a Super Bowl is coming up.
Yeah.
You think?
I think.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right. I don't know, for you football fans out there. Anybody football fan here? Well, we're all football fans here, anyways. But
Football?
Tim?
Soccer?
A football.
European or American?
So Tim believes that the episode 8 trailer is going to drop Super Bowl last year.
Yes.
However, Tim said it. Did it drop the first one? Did it drop in the Super Bowl?
No. 2 years ago.
2 years ago,
I believe we got. It was the episode 7 trailer at the Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think it's going to drop at the Super Bowl, or is it going to drop at Celebration?
I hope it drops tomorrow.
Well, we hope it drops tomorrow.
I say they drop it at the Super Bowl, because you're going to get, especially if Dallas is playing, because you're going to get the most viewers out of America. Okay, because they bring in statistically they have across the board the ratings when they're playing.
They've helped save the NFL this season, in a way. Yeah.
So the ratings skyrocket. So no matter if that happens or not, Super Bowl, it's a Super Bowl regardless of what teams are in it. People are gonna watch, and they have the ratings for it. Why not air the trailer during that Super Bowl to get everyone?
I think
what is the Super Bowl going to be? What station is it going to be played on? Is it
it's
Fox?
always different every year.
And CBS?
I want to say CBS this year, though.
It changes.
Last year?
It changes almost every year.
Well, I mean, because they have contracts with it, but I think it's CBS this year.
I think it's CBS, right? So if
I've seen it on Fox, I've seen it on CBS, and I've seen it on NBC.
So if let's say that the Super Bowl
Whoever
was
pays
played,
the most will probably get the Super Bowl.
So if it was, let's say it was on ABC, which is owned by Disney, then I could see it dropping.
I think, okay, you have the football game, but obviously the other aspect of the commercials, and obviously we see a bunch of introductions, very small teaser trailers for movies come out, such as Star Wars. So I don't want to say if it's only on ABC. I like to think that they're going to drop a teaser trailer no matter what. I hope. More importantly, but I would suspect they would do that because that's one of your biggest outlets. Of course, you have YouTube and you'll have a million hits within X amount of time, but you're for sure going to be getting, I don't know the ratings in front of me right now, but millions of people watching for the commercials. We have millions of people for the football. So this is your biggest outlet you're going to get for an introduction. And what I've seen that they've done in the past is, or at least for episode 7, try to use it as some kind of blueprint. They'll have a teaser, and then at Celebration, that's when they'll show an actual theatrical trailer, which is a difference of 30 seconds as opposed to 2 minutes and 30 seconds for a trailer. So I'm with Tim. I would even place another bet.
Another bet. Oh, that's a tough one.
We don't have to do that, but if that's the case, then we should be expecting a name for this movie fairly soon, because the Super Bowl is in about a month.
Yeah, less than a month away now, because February 4th, and today we're January 5th.
So by the end of this month, we'll get a name. That's what you're looking at. Is that what you're saying?
I think we would have to.
I mean, if we look at, trying to use the last movie as a blueprint, and also just trying to think about, because also Disney doesn't have just Lucasfilm to worry about, but they also own Marvel. Yeah. And Marvel has 3 movies coming out this year, too.
Yeah.
So I would think it would make sense for them, and that they would release something soon.
If the release for the movie is this time next year, then the trailer would have to come out Super Bowl.
Well, for episode 8, it'll be mid-December again.
Yeah.
So we more than likely we will see, probably a very small trailer, which means it will be Ray looking at Luke for the remaining 10 seconds of not saying anything and just say, episode 8, we're done.
Maybe Luke might say something. Maybe he might say,
hey,
hi.
Did you find your hand?
Hi.
You have a lightsaber. Did you find my hand, buddy?
Hey, buddy. Maybe he sounds like the Joker.
That was crazy. He's wearing a black garb underneath.
I know you brought that up, right, Tim? Tossing it back. Yeah,
it looks like he's wearing a lot of clothing.
It did. Yeah,
it has another garb underneath.
So one other. Now that you say Luke on this island, do you think he's there by himself?
From when we see it, yes, he was. I think he was there by himself. The speculation, I've watched it over and over. Behind him, it looked like a gravestone. Was he there with someone? Did he bring someone?
Maybe it's
with
the
him?
Ones that.
It was one though. One gravestone.
Only one?
Not like a mass gravestone.
Yeah, it didn't look like a mass.
You know what? There may be more, but they're not showing.
And I think that's something they're going to keep under lock and key until the movie reveal, because this is going to be the first, and I'm pretty sure they confirmed it here recently. This will be the first Star Wars film, because traditionally between episodes there would be a nice length or span of time, and this one's going to be.
Directly
continuation.
Right,
it's going to be that it'll probably somehow start again, so they can do the spaceship in space. It'll probably show them come in maybe again and showing Rey walking up the steps, and then it'll go to that scene and it'll finally continue throughout the scene.
I think they already confirmed that the opening scene is going to be right where they left off.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, either way.
So it's going to be right where she's handing off the lightsaber.
Yeah, that'll be a first.
That would be a first for Star Wars. Yeah.
That would.
I think. I might be wrong, but I have read it somewhere that they confirmed that.
Maybe. I mean, if that was the first Jedi Temple, maybe that's, maybe the grave for the first.
As the first
recorded
Jedi
or something
there on that planet. Does that also mean that is it the Force tree? That I don't know if you've heard of the Force tree. Have you?
No, I've heard of.
It's kind of like the origins or the beginning of the Force, of how it all started, right?
Okay.
There was 2 brothers, one good, one bad.
Well,
Cain
very
and
close.
Abel.
I think there was 2. Yeah,
Really?
I think there was
wow.
2 people. But this tree gave off this force, gave off this power. I don't know how it got there, but that's how it all started.
Oh, that's
that'd be interesting.
That's the first I've heard of that.
I have to research that more, but I know
because I used to have, and I mean I've moved so many times from where we're at now, but I used to have a Star Wars book / encyclopedia that may be legend now, it may not be canon, where there are kind of not necessarily like Lord of the Rings where the trees have faces, but the trees were capable of movement. Like they could detach themselves from the earth
relocate
and then reattach themselves I guess, to where there's better, nutrients or
Sure.
in the ground.
Yeah.
That's
So maybe this was that tree. You know what I mean? That very well could be, and then we'd have to do a little bit more research on that.
But
But
that's something we can talk about next time.
yeah, that would be
More
something really good. We would research that a little bit more, so we have more information for our listeners.
Okay, on to the next topic. Let's talk about Clone Wars on Netflix. Is it worth a binge watch? I mean, you guys,
I think it is.
I've never seen it, so I didn't know. But
I've seen it. I've seen all the episodes. Even after they canceled the series, they made several more episodes after that, and I think it gives you a much better appreciation for who these clones were,
Okay.
how they felt about fighting in this war that they were created for.
Because a lot of those scenes are going to be from what was before episode 3 started, right? Because sometime is again, time passes between episode to episode.
Yeah.
But we see the beginning of episode 3. Obi-Wan and Anakin come in on their, what do they call it, Jedi Starfighter or something like that, to go into some, I guess, a droid ship to get back.
They're after General Grievous.
Well, but I think they're actually trying to get Palpatine back under General Grievous's hostage, being hostage.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But what I mean is those Clone Wars. I guess that fills in the gap to being like it's not just they magically appeared, from hyperspace coming into this, because General Grievous had to been announced or introduced somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So I guess the Clone Wars would act good for that because myself, I haven't seen it either. I just have it as on Netflix now to watch it next.
Yeah, absolutely. I
added to my shows. I guess that's the
I highly recommend it. I wish, in my opinion, the animation is good. It's got its own character to it. I would have preferred more of a Old Republic kind of look.
Okay.
To and feel to the Clone Wars, but story wise, the way it moves from point A to point B and on, I think it flowed very well and gave like I said, give you a real appreciation of how clone troopers interacted with Jedi, interacted with Mandalorian soldiers, interacted with everybody. It really focuses in on them, and of course, there's other, things that happen in there. I'm not going to ruin it for y'all, either one of y'all, because I've already seen it. I don't want to give too much away, but I think it really is for anybody out there who hasn't seen the Clone Wars animation series. I think it's worth a binge.
All right. Well, okay, and still on about watching stuff on TV, or in that case it was Netflix. Should there be a Star Wars made-for-TV series, and if so, what era?
Knights of the Old Republic. Man.
Knights of the Old Republic.
I had seen on Facebook once upon a time. I think it was about a month ago, and I think it was even a year prior to that. A petition going around for fans. Like I think they had 70,000 e-signed names or something. Trying to make a petition to make a Netflix series, specifically Netflix making the series. In conjunction with Lucasfilm, Disney, to make that, and we've seen how well it worked out for again because Disney owns Marvel, and we've seen how well it's worked out for some of their independent stories that'll eventually collectively come together and maybe even join the shows to the actual movies themselves, right?
Yeah, all those,
and I think that's the next avenue because again that was one of the things that was great for us seeing them being taken over. Or Disney buying them out because we have a bankroll and we have unlimited resources and many things that they have to do moving forward.
I got a question for y'all then. Y'all both said almost instantaneously together, Knights of the Old Republic. Do you feel like you want to see that because you don't think the movies that they're going to put out in theaters are going to go backwards any further and we'll never get that? Because it seems like they don't mind going forward, right? So is that why y'all are saying?
No, I think they will go. If they go backwards, they're gonna go backwards. Probably
Like Prometheus style?
many years backwards. I don't know if Prometheus style, but
I mean,
I think they can go
Origins.
back,
but
but
Origins.
yeah. Well, Origin Tree?
If they do, maybe that's a possible movie. Actually, I don't know if they do the TV series like that.
But I think one of the great things that we see from these series is because, like,
Well,
Knights of the Old
they might
Republic.
touch base on this start and then roll with whatever the story would the era is. Just
Yeah.
kind of give you the beginning.
But like the Knights of the Old Republic, it's not like kind of like we see the actual Star Wars movies now, with the exception of Rogue One, really, is following the Skywalker lineage. This is something that happened a long time ago in a galaxy far away. But that it's almost like an independent story in itself. So I think the one thing that these Netflix shows or even TV shows, in a sense, they can they're able to touch up on things that a movie doesn't have time to afford. Again, we were talking about superfluous things. Seeing in Rogue One, we would have seen Wookiee. We wanted to see Wookiee enslaved to create the Death Star, if that's actually what happened. The show will
3 hours, but you can
or
fit
even
it
2.5. But we can see
fit it in 12 hours.
If we have 12 episodes at an hour apiece, there's so much more. There's so much more detail that you can cover in these, short. I mean, it's almost like 3 movies in itself. Seeing this show.
So is that being said, Micah? Because that's a great point. Would Star Wars be better as a TV series?
I would say no, because there's
TV is limited, right? Because I mean, if you go
well, not for Netflix,
because
Netflix is great. They always do shows justice, like whatever it is. They got some great shows. So,
but they also want to make it available and affordable to everyone. And yes, Netflix may be cheap now, but it seems like through the course of time, we've seen things become more expensive. We've seen things become more selective as what can be seen. And I think there are certain outlets for things that are more appropriate. So obviously the movies that we see are created and designed for the silver screen. Mm-hmm. And again, things such as the Knights of the Old Republic or even an offshoot of something, we want to see all that detail, but it doesn't warrant a movie.
That's a good point. Good point. I can live with that explanation. Yeah, good point. A lot of good points. All right. Well, I think that wraps up topic 3 there. So one of the last things we got here is Micah's 60 seconds.
My 60 seconds. Micah's rant.
Your rant. What you gonna rant about today, Micah?
What I'm gonna rant about today.
60 seconds uninterrupted.
Kind of touches up on a previous topic that we're talking about, that Lucasfilm, and even actually you helped, expand on this topic, that it seemed like Carrie Fisher didn't so much care for them recreating her without her herself. But when I'm touching more is a little more specific. An example, 1977 Star Wars: A New Hope, we see an example in the Cantina Bar. Han shot Greedo first. That might be a great debate for many viewers or listeners, but it's more of an understanding that Han shot first. But they went back, and every time they remastered, I think it was 99 when they remastered it for the collection, they changed it where it made it look like Greedo shot first. Because, Han is supposed to be, he's friendly. We want, everyone to like him and everything, which kind of takes away from his character initially. He was a smuggler. And so he's not against, taking things into his own hands, whether that might be taking out someone before they take him out. So we see through the remasterings, they're kind of changing things that are known, things that are fact, if you will. And we even see that done as the Force Ghost for Anakin at the end of Episode 6. The original actor was Sebastian Shaw, that we see him as a Force Ghost after Darth Vader dies in the Death Star, Luke, goes away, and then they had the funeral for him, and we see the celebration that is supposed to be Sebastian Shaw. But again, with the touch of a computer, they changed that. They changed the actor to becoming Hayden Christensen's Anakin. And, Tim, I think you were telling me earlier that you had a friend that watched it, and they decide to watch it from episode 1 first, which is a little different from how a lot of the Star Wars fans started from episode 4 through 6, then 1, 2, 3. They started from 1, 2, and 3 first. And so once they got to episode 6, we see that how did episode 3, Anakin Skywalker, become the Force Ghost for episode 6 when that movie was done in, was it 80 something? You know, so it's cool if you want to refine things for a small token. I know I'm over my 60 seconds a little bit. I know it's cool to refine things for a small token, such as Governor Tarkin, you know, for a brief thing. That it doesn't look like they're going to do that again. They needed that for Rogue One to make the story fit, to make it seem legit. But to change things again, I don't think that's necessary. I think it takes away from the story. It takes away from the integrity. And you start to see people, you know, fall away from what they love, because if they can do that, then they can change pivotal things that are known facts.
Yeah.
So I think Star Wars would be best to leave what's, you know, there. And they've established some things as canon, some things as legend, and leave it at that.
What I have to say about that, Micah, is I'm going to give you George Lucas's rebuttal to that, right?
The people versus George Lucas. Don't forget.
Have you seen that? I've seen it
actually.
It's actually
I need to.
It's actually funny. It's funny and it's good.
People.
Do you have to watch
George
it?
Lucas?
No. If you're on Netflix and you're like, man, I can't find anything to watch.
I looked at it recently. It wasn't there unless they re-added it again.
They might have.
It was there at one point in time, and I didn't get to see it then. But anyway,
it's worth a watch, you know, if you're kind of bored or whatever. But George Lucas's rebuttal, of course, remember this is before he sold Star Wars to Disney. His rebuttal is, I'm sorry that I ruined the movie that you enjoyed, but you were watching an incomplete movie. It's my movie, so I want to finish it. But that was his rebuttal. I don't want to put that into quotes.
That's a general idea.
That's general idea of his response to the fans that hated.
We're upset about that.
Yeah, when he changed the movies. That being said, I'm not saying he's right, but that being said, I don't think Disney's going to change anything here moving forward.
I don't think they will, but it's just something that I want to comment on. Something that I guess that has been gathered my attention. Especially this is Micah's rant now. Damn it. But
60 seconds.
I appreciate George Lucas saying that, because again, this is his baby. This is if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have gotten to see this great story and see the continuation of it. Especially with him letting go of it, so we can see more and more and more of it. But whether it's incomplete or not, that's what the fans learned. That's what the fans loved. That's what the fans appreciated and watched again and again and again. So for him to go back and change it, it's not really his story anymore. Yeah, it's all of our story. Yeah, it's what we came to fall in love with. Yeah, it's what we rewatch. It's what we recant. It's what we talk about as you're listening right now. So I appreciate that coming from the creator himself, but I also have to say you can't just change it. Yeah, because that's not what we saw. It might be good. By him doing that, by him changing that, it helps one person. It affects many other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll just leave it at that. Tim, I don't know if
I'm gonna let you leave it at that. I want y'all to respond to this, and it has a little bit to do with something or your rant that you just went on right now. Okay. Ralph McQuarrie was the conceptual artist for the first Star Wars movie.
Okay. As an episode 4?
Yes. Okay. And I think he was for episode 5 as well, Empire Strikes Back, and I think even for Return of the Jedi. Okay. That being said, Ralph McQuarrie, conceptual artist. They used some of his artwork for the movies, right? Darth Vader looks very similar. Stormtroopers look very similar. A lot of his conceptual art didn't make it into the film because of maybe technological advances that hadn't been made yet. But now that those technological advances are here, his conceptual art from back then is now being incorporated into Star Wars. Are you okay with that? Because it was stuff that was already thrown out.
I mean, of course, we would have wanted to seen it at the time. But again, if it changes it... I mean, okay, kind of like case in point. They made these huge cuts and changes and reshoots to Rogue One. So what we saw is Rogue One.
Yeah.
alternate ending, what have you, whatever. But that's what we saw.
That's what we saw.
So
That's
anything else that comes out, it doesn't matter if it was the first thing ever written against it. That's not Rogue One.
Yeah.
I appreciate that's what it was, intended to be, but that forever will be the alternate.
Yeah.
And by them doing that, of course, I always assume that episode 4, I know there's a little different logic behind it, but episode 4 through 6, obviously during that time we didn't have the technology to see these things. I mean, hell, if you see the original cut of episode 4, you see Obi-Wan's lightsaber it's like almost translucent. You can just see through it. You can't really see that bluish, whitish glow. Completely just there. And you would assume you would have that issue with episode 2 with the Clone Army. You can't just have 1,000 actors just sitting there in conjunction with everything. Obviously, a lot of that was CGI too. And so it's good that you have these things, but you can't just say that this is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You can say, it might be one of those things for the viewers or even for the true fans. Like, I want to see that in a collector's edition. I want to see what the director's cut was. This is what it was supposed to be. But by changing it without it, with the worded of it being extra, but to actually change that as the movie itself, I think that takes away from the initial story. And I think it disrupts the integrity of the film itself and the story going further.
Tim, what do you think about bringing stuff like that out?
I really don't mind them bringing stuff like that out.
You can appreciate it, but
yeah, you definitely appreciate it.
Right? That's where BB-8 came from, right?
Yeah, I want to bring up. That's what I was going to just bring up. The fact that BB-8 was originally. R2-D2. That was his original design. Was BB-8, and they couldn't do that. They couldn't make R2-D2 what BB-8 was then because we didn't have what it took to create that.
Well, fine.
And make it happen in film and make it work on screen. So they had to go with instead a
different,
like a trash can, and then pick them up like you make him R2-D2.
You just made an excellent point. I think for my case, in the sense that I think BB-8 is like the droid looking between him and R2-D2. They're vastly different, obviously, and we both care for him and everything. But take that same logic. Say we never saw episode 7. Say episode 7 never came out, but they were able to go in there and digitally adapt R2-D2's shape to being a spherical ball rolling around, because that was the initial argument for him.
Design.
Can people the initial design for it? Are we still going to truly care for that? I mean, that's what he was supposed to be, so it should be fine, right? No, it takes away from what R2-D2, who we know him.
Now
as.
You're
changing in a
round
sense.
Sphere, blue and.
Right, in a sense, but you're changing his character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think
you're changing who he is, huh?
I mean, you're not really changing who R2-D2 is. You're just they just created a new character and used his design.
I think what Micah's saying though, Tim. Let's say George Lucas keeps Star Wars.
Yeah.
Don't get any more movies.
You only see 1 through 6.
Yeah, 1 through 6.
Uh-huh.
George Lucas decides, let's digitally take out what we know as R2-D2.
Oh, that's
now put in a spherical.
But that's what we're talking about here.
Droid.
But I mean that's what we're talking about. Is he, by doing that? I mean, because the argument is R2-D2 was initially designed as supposed to be a spherical ball.
Yeah.
You're changing what we know as him. We're changing almost the character of him.
Yeah, the character would definitely change. I feel like that BB-8.
So wouldn't that, in a sense, change the integrity of the show?
It would change it. I don't know how much more, but it would change it because BB-8's a lot. He shows more emotion.
He does.
You can see just by the way he moves, the head drooping over when he's sad.
Yeah.
And when he wasn't excited, it seems like he's almost rocking back and forth and he's shaking.
When he gets excited, he starts to shake.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that would be fair to the people who initially saw it. Even Lewis, you said yourself, you were fortunate enough to have been able to see all of them in the theaters. Like, how would that make you feel as a fan, going back just simply because R2-D2 was initially designed with the BB-8's likeness?
I'll tell you what, Micah. When I was a kid, back in the 80s, I was born in 1974. So I was like 5, 6, 7-ish when Empire hit. Maybe like 4 when Star Wars A New Hope hit. And I remember playing with R2D2 and C3PO action figures, the original ones. I think it would almost hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
It would detract the way I feel and my connection towards this character, even if it is a droid. You know, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, because even though
feel.
he's a droid, there's the character he brings he's not a droid to you.
Yeah.
He's this living figment of your imagination now, and even harnessed into a figure that you can play with. That he just became a completely different entity.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
well, we ended Micah's rant there, and I mean, I think that's it for this show, right?
That should be it. Hopefully next time we get to talk about the tree.
Yeah.
The forest tree. The next time we talk.
Absolutely.
The next episode.
Absolutely. I would like to do some research on that. My name's Louis Barrera. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Like Tim said, next time maybe we'll talk about this forest tree. I want to do some more research on that. That was really interesting. What are some of the other topics that y'all would like to touch on next time?
Maybe we can, it talked about the arc of technology. Maybe we can see like really how the technology in itself benefited certain films being shot before the others or after the others.
Absolutely.
That, because
Yeah,
exactly. Because, commenting again about Obi-Wan's lightsaber or lightsabers in general and episodes 4 through 6, really changed the face of this story that we have in front of us.
I'd also like to talk more about Darth Vader next time because there wasn't enough about him in this episode.
All right. I'm glad you brought that up, Tim, because
What about
Darth Vader, one of the original Bants.
Yes, there's a documentary that I'd like to discuss when we're talking about Darth Vader.
Oh, yeah.
Called I Am Your Father, about David Prowse, the actor that actually played Darth Vader in the suit in the original trilogy.
We got homework, Tim.
We have homework.
I've already seen half of it, so I'm halfway there.
All right. So once again, that's going to wrap up our show. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Once again, my name's Louis.
And I'm Tim.
This is Micah.
And thank you for listening for the Force Choke, and have a good night.
May the Force be with you.